Hi everyone, this is Crispy1001 at kpcosoft.com. This is our 21st video on how to use Blender and the Blender2FSX add-on to make models for Flight Simulator 10. In this video we are going to work on our panel for putting our instruments on. So let's open up Blender. As soon as we open our Blender, let's go and let's initialize our tool set. Just in case we've changed something and messed up the scale, let's go ahead and hit the B key and box select our virtual cockpit model. And let's hit a Control A and click on scale to make scale back to default. Click A to change it back and to unselect everything. Okay, in the video 20 I messed up or did a blunder, and on the flap on this one here, when I was supposed to click it, I accidentally clicked the body and I did not change the texture, the material. So we want to click on the right flap and make sure that we have the body color as our material. If not, you have right flap color, hit the negative to delete it, click on the little icon here for the material and choose body color. Another thing I messed up in the video, if you remember when we UV unwrapped our fuselage, on the UV up in the UV unwrap editor window, we saw some vertices that were out of place with edges that were running across the UV map. The reason for that, I added in this face here so you cannot see through the cockpit, but I did not re-UV unwrap the fuselage mesh. So that's why we're having that problem. To fix that, go in and re-UV unwrap the fuselage body. Make sure you have all the other items selected so they show up on your UV unwrap texture. Rebake everything, and then you'll be set up. Okay, I'm not going to go through everything this time all over again for setting up the materials, setting up the correct format for the DD or the DXT1 or DXT5, and changing it to a .dds file. To do that, you can go and rewatch video 19, because I want to spend more time explaining how to do the cockpit, or the face that is going to be used in FSX to create a transparent face for holding the instruments that we put on using the panel configuration file. So if you do not have your let me reset things. There we go. If you do not have this panel set up already, or you haven't watched video 10, go back, watch video 10 so you can see how we set up the material and for this face that we're using for our instrument panel. Once you have that done, go ahead and save your file. Go File, and we're going to export and remake our DirectX for FSX.x. Make sure you're in your main project folder for your plane. Click on the MDL folder. It'll let you know you're going to be overwriting a file. That's fine. Make sure you check the Export MDL file and hit the export button. Okay, you have just now made your virtual cockpit model file for Flight Simulator. So you can go ahead and close this one. Go to your file for your plane. Go to your main file folder. Click in the MDL folder. Find your test plane, or whatever you named your plane, vc.mdl file. Copy it. Navigate to where your plane is in Flight Simulator. If you did a default install, it'll be under C drive, program files for x86, then Microsoft Games, Microsoft Flight Simulator 10, Sim Objects, Airplanes. In Airplanes folder, click on your plane folder, then go and open your model folder. Delete your file that's there and repaste in that new VC model file there. Once you have that, we are now ready to start working on our panel. To do that, I should have stayed where we were. This is your model folder in Flight Simulator. We want to navigate to the main folder. We want to go to Panel. And you will see the texture that you've made. Well, really, this one shouldn't be here. I just put it there so I had extra copies of it. For your model, or for your panel, the one you'll have is the Panel 1 texture that we made to apply to that transparency that Flight Simulator will make for our instruments. This file here, the DDS file for the texture for that panel that FSX will use, will be in your, you will paste it into your texture folder, which is right here, and your texture.1 file, which is right there. Once we get that, I'm going to show you now how to go through and start applying your instruments to the panel. So first thing, let's open up our panel that we made in video 10. Double click it. Then we're going to have to navigate to the Cessna 172. So you'll see airplanes. Click on the airplane folder. Click on Cessna 172 folder. Click into the panel folder, and then open the panel folder for the Cessna 172. Let's move it over. Let's click back on that. Let's navigate back to our main folder, which will be scrolled down. Remember, it'll be under Airplanes folder, and mine is Test Plane 1. And let's go back into the panel folder. And I will close this, or minimize that. I'll have this one open. So what I've done, I've copied and pasted over the gauges that I want to use for the Cessna. Now remember, when you're making a plane for yourself, you can use any of the materials out there that came with FSX for your own use. For freeware, I believe you can also do the stuff that came with Flight Simulator, but you need to do some research on your own to make sure that you can, because we don't want to use anything that someone else has the property rights on, because we don't want any problems. So make sure you find out that. So I pasted over the airspeed, altimeter, heading indicator, tachometer, switches, master, alternator, and battery switch, and the starter switch. Now I'll show you how to place these and make them the correct size. I do not have access to a third-party program that does this for you. I do it myself, trial and error, but I'll show you the steps I go through to try to do it. So let's minimize this one. I'm going to open up a diagram that I've set up. Close this down some. Okay, so if you go back, and if you remember in our Blender file, and I guess I should have let that open to show you. Let me go ahead and open it again so I can show you, because I want to make sure that you understand this part. Let's go there. Let's click on that. I'll go to Wireframe. Okay, so there is the face that in video 10 we set up for our instrument panel for Flight Simulator. And you can see it's a rectangle, so the width is much greater than what the height is. Now if we go in and we go to, let's see, hit the N key, we go up and we go to dimensions, we can see that our X, let's see, it's kind of reversed, it looks like. No, it isn't. Okay, so our X, which is our width, is 2.31 feet. So 24 plus inches on it. So about a third of a foot more. So let's say three more inches added onto it. Just a rough guesstimation. So that would be 24 plus 3, 27 inches wide. And you can see our height is only 7.7 inches. So approximately 7.5 inches. So we're going to have to remember that ratio so that when we put our instruments on for Flight Simulator, it will not skew the width compared to the height and have a very oval looking instrument. So let's close this now. I don't want to save it. So this is what we've came up with here. So what I usually do, I will take the panel ratio, and remember these are not the correct values. This is just for explaining it. So we have a panel which you can see up here is 36 inches wide, 12 inches high, 300 pixels wide, and 100 pixels tall. So to get the ratio, I took the 300 width divided by the 100 height, gives me a ratio of 3. So now the skew that I need to use for the width for all my instruments will be multiplied by this 3. Now the way you can see how the gauge are set up, your first value is the X value, which is horizontal in the X direction for the panel. The next area or next number is your Y, which is vertical or going down in your Y direction on your panel. The next group of numbers is your width of your instrument itself, which is from your X and Y that you set for that instrument over in the horizontal, which is W. And the next group of numbers is your height. So that is vertical from that width point, or from your XY point down, which is your height, which is there. So that's how we come to that group of numbers. Now, if we say that we want our instrument to start at 10 width, which is 10 over in the horizontal, and 10 down in the vertical, which should say is right there, then we want our instrument to be 30 pixels wide. So we have that number in the width. Now to get our height, because of the skew difference from our face that we have in Blender for our instrument panel, or for our instruments to be applied to, we need to take this ratio. So we go that 30 times the 3, which gives us 90. which will give us 90 in the height. So now when we put this in our configuration file for our panel, which is here, our instruments will not look skewed. And if you don't do this, you'll see that your instruments are going to be stretched in the width and very short in the height. So let's go back and look at what I did here. Okay, so you can see I have the widths, the heights, the width of the instruments, and the height of the instruments all calculated using this formula. Now, of course, the numbers will be different because I do not know what size you made your face for applying your instruments to. So now, after you get that, or another point I need to show, that when you do your gauges, make sure that you go into a numeric order from 00, 01 on down, and the number gets greater as the more gauges you put in. So that's what we want to show here. So let's go and look at this in our in Flight Simulator itself. So go ahead and copy these numbers down with these instruments. You can just pause the video to get this stuff and paste it into your panel configuration file. Save it, and we can close that. I'll minimize that. I will start Flight Simulator. Now remember, my Flight Simulator doesn't run well with my screen capture device that I'm using, or software. So let's see how it goes. Choose our plane. Choose a location. I'm going to choose clear skies, and I will start. Zoom out, and there you go. As you can see, our instruments don't look skewed. Everything looks pretty good, and all the work. Sometimes, if because you have invisible face or in front or polygon, or the face that you use for your instrument panel. So if you have that problem, you have to go back into Blender and see if you can find what's in front of it. So I'm going to go ahead and pause or exit out of this. I'm going to close this. So now you see how to set up your instruments for your panel, for your instrument panel. I hope this has been helpful to people. If you have any subjects that you would like for me to go over with the Blender and using the Blender2FSX add-on, please let me know. The videos I will be doing next, I still need to learn how to do the animation of the tires, so we can't do that one until I learn how to do it. Also mouse rectangle, or control rectangles, I guess that's what they're called, for being able to control like throttle and flaps and things like that that you make yourself in your virtual cockpit to animate. I need to learn how to do those. Later on we will do a series or a video just on how to do the light maps for the instrument panel. I'm not going to do that right away because I need to get some more work on that myself. I mean, I can do it, but it's nothing great, and I'd like to be able to show you how to do it a little better than what I know right now. I guess the next video I'm going to do is on how to animate retracts with the gear doors as well. I have a model I've already made for that, so the next video we'll be doing animations for retracts. So I hope you've learned something on this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and thanks for watching. Bye.